Balcones' first ever year-round bourbon was an inspiration. It all had to work together. A blend of carefully selected ingredients, Texas-sized pot stills, and creative people determined to find the absolute best way to usher a new whiskey along. When you discover how it pairs with a meaningful moment, suddenly the feeling of drinking great whiskey becomes a whole lot more.
Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Whiskey Neat, spirited conversations with interesting people. I am your host, Kristopher Hart, and boy, oh boy, are my arms tired. You see right in front of me, I'm so proud of these. Listen, I don't think I'm either too arrogant or that false, what do they call it? Not false bravado, but false humbleness when people pretend to be. I think I'm in the middle. But can I just say that I'm just really proud of this? I'm so proud of this. This week's episode, we sit down to talk about my rums, not a paid sponsor. My rums, and we bottled them for the Whiskey Social. We have big plans for this brand. I don't want to be an actual brand. I don't want to be like 10 states distribution, thousands of cases. I don't have time for all that, and that's definitely not my goal. I think there are more simpler things in life. But that being said, I'm very, 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 very proud of this project. I cannot thank Rob Licorice and his family, Marcia and Jonathan, enough. They've been great help to me, great help to my brand. And so this week we sit down with Darryl Bowman, who came out with a fantastic mobile app to help you catalog your inventory, to rate and review whiskey and spirits and rum and wine and all the whole nine yards, called Cork'd. Cork'd. It'll be available very soon within the next 2 months on both Apple and Android phones. And of course, my good friend, my soulmate, my ginger from another something that rhymes with ginger, Jeremiah Butler from B&B Butchers. This week, Jeremiah sits down with us. We talk about he loves rum. He's always loved rum. On other podcasts like our friends Smokin' and Toastin', shout out to Smokin' and Toastin' with Ian and Cruz. He's talked more about rum than he's talked about anything else, and I thought I would love to put my rum in front of him. Now, just for the record, I did not make this rum. What I did is I found this rum. I found barrels of delicious, fantastic golden nectar, and I put it in a bottle at Cask Strength, unfiltered, unadulterated, fully transparent rum from both Belize, from Traveler's Distillery, Diamond Distillery in Guyana, and Foursquare Distillery in Barbados. This is your only chance in Texas to taste Foursquare Cask Strength single barrel rum, because single barrel Cask Strength rum is not something Barbados does, or not something that Foursquare does. I just wanted to put my rums in front of them. We're going to talk about this week. We talk about so the day that you're watching this is also the day that Brendan Schaub and Brian Callen are here in Houston to visit the Houston Improv. I know they've been slowly making more and more tickets available. I doubt that they're not sold out, but check it out. Go to Houston Improv. See what tickets are available. Come see them this weekend. They're here Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. 2 shows on each day, maybe even 3 on Friday. I mean, they're just killing it right now. People are dying to get out of their houses. I've rambled enough. Without further ado, Jeremiah Butler from B&B Butchers on Washington Avenue, the best place to get food, meat in this city, and my good friend Darryl Bowman of Bad Wine Reviews, and of course the fantastic new app coming out called Cork'd, Cork'd. We talk about everything from rum to FB 2020, and I'll explain more on that in the episode. Cheers. Jeremiah,
Chris,
buddy,
yes,
thanks for coming on, man.
Absolutely.
Darryl, I appreciate you coming back for round 2. I'd shake your hand, but
we all got the Rona, man.
We all got the Rona.
19, 19.
We all got the Rona. Dude, I'm so glad you guys are here. I figured Darryl, for those of you who didn't see the last episode I did with Darryl, we did a Pinhook episode. I want to say back in September or August or something. It might have been a year ago at this point.
Yeah.
It was our first ever barrel pick for the show, and then you've got some things going on that are pretty great, and I thought you could come on. I'm launching our official brand for the Whiskey Social, and I know how much Jeremiah loves rum.
Indeed.
And so I thought, why don't we taste it on air? Why don't we talk about it? I'll walk you through what they are and how they are and when they'll be here, and we can talk some shit.
Yeah, they look deep, dark, and mysterious. I'm excited.
yeah. I like my rum like I like my. Never mind. Let's not. Well, let's not do that. All right. So let's jump into this. Give me your glasses. I think what we'll do is let's do this. I want to try your WhistlePig first.
Okay, cool.
And I'll set up the stage for the rum, and we'll go from there.
Perfect.
This so talk me through this while I'm pouring.
Okay, so this is, we've talked a couple times. I think one of the things we talked about actually the last time I did the show in the lounge was about barrel picks. Obviously, you and the guys are very versed. It's been kind of a learning experience for me.
You've done a few. I mean,
I have, and now I really feel like I've kind of dialed it in. So this one, actually, we went through, I want to say 12 or 14 different WhistlePig barrels. Again, I kind of try and find the best example of the category. So as I'm tasting through all these WhistlePigs, which one represents, big boy rye whiskey the best?
Sure.
And I love the fact that it's 122.9. So for a proof head like me, it kind of lands where I want it to with the heat. But there's a really good eugenol, baking spice note to it. It's got that great greasy mouthfeel. So yeah, we just got really lucky. We tried to have it by the whiskey sniff, and we didn't. Oof. There were some things happening with.
That's a powerhouse. Oh yeah, man, warm in the chest.
With Glazer's warehouse shift, we had some things happen, but it's here, it's there. It's again.
Do any of these ever make it to retail?
If someone is in the restaurant and they say, "Hey, I would die to buy one of these," or "I would just absolutely love one," then I can set it up through Goody. I'll leave your name, I'll get you one. But for the most part, no, because I send some to Fort Worth, and then we actually, now that the group has grown, we kind of all the Berg hospitalities. Like with this one versus the Hudson, if it's a Berg hospitality batch. So we're kind of trying as we grow to kind of grow that idea so that in any Berg hospitality place, you can get the WhistlePig, the Elijah Craig,
sure.
As we get the barrels.
Kind of like what's Morgan's joint?
8-row.
8-row, yeah, but also the Kentucky Tejas thing. It's that union where you can find it all those places instead of just going through one bar.
Absolutely. And with this one, man, I cannot tell you how happy I am with how it turned out. I will say that the biggest reason, and I love WhistlePig, so I'm not trying to bash them in any way, but I bought the 10-year because that's how you get access to the bespoke barrels.
Sure. So you're ready to you got your foot in the door, and now you're going to be stepping
exactly. I couldn't skip the first step, even though I asked.
But that's nothing on this. I mean, I know it's a little hotter proof, but it's fantastic. It's got a lot of sweetness to it, a lot of syrup in it.
Thank you.
And honestly, yours is 122. Our last two were 105, 107, and this is sweeter than I remember ours being.
Well, and I feel like, and again, another part that I'm really excited as we go into these rums is that unfiltered sort of full barrel expression.
A raw product, yeah.
And I've always felt like with whiskeys, rums, I mean, even some of the aquavits that I've been exposed to lately.
Milk.
Those barrels, man, where you just get everything that's in it, everything that was meant to be given to you. And so,
Dude, I'll bash WhistlePig. I normally cannot stand. I have not had a single one that I.
Oh, really?
No, I don't like them. This is good.
This
is really good.
Nice. Well, outstanding.
No, seriously.
There you go.
I used to give them a hard time.
I wanted to hate it, but I don't.
I used to give them a hard time with their price point, but nowadays, their price hasn't changed at all.
Yeah.
And they're still consistently double-digit 8-stated rye for $70. That's. Nowadays, that's a steal.
Yeah. It's a song. And one of the things kind of, Kentucky Owl. Yeah. As much as I love that juice, it's paying what you pay for Kentucky Owl is. Ooh.
Dumpster fire, yeah, that's a good word.
It's a dumpster fire.
It used to be pretty great. That first batch, I think, was 115, 120.
Yeah.
fantastic. Fantastic. And I think it as well was like a 10-year. Like
I mean, you don't need a
old.
ton of age if you're aging right. I mean, and that's one of the great things about, as weird as sure controversial as, Pickerel was in the bourbon world for whatever he was or wasn't, the great thing, and for me, I guess the test for WhistlePig will come now that we're starting to see their actual grain to glass whiskeys. Like, we're going to find out where the rubber meets the road with them. Like, because it's one thing to source and age.
Right.
But now if you're the one making it and aging it, like, you're kind of in you gotta put your shoes on.
There's Nate Woodruff, who is huge in the Instagram world. I think he's got the #1 whiskey Instagram account, Whiskey with a View.
Yes.
It's
he's doing the tour in the van right now with his dog.
That's correct.
Yeah, absolutely. He's awesome.
He'll be
great guy.
He'll be here Friday.
No kidding.
Yeah, he'll be on the show
that's
Friday.
outstanding.
He's driving into Houston just to come on the show.
Oh, awesome.
And he basically just had a popular Instagram account of just like beautiful nature photos with cool whiskey shots. And then it turned into a brand started offering him jobs.
Absolutely. Well, and to be fair, some of those, I mean, that guy was putting his life on the line. He's like hanging off these weird cliffs and shit's on fire.
He looks he looks like Thor. Like
he's got the beard.
And huge.
Absolutely.
I mean, but the photos are stunning. His Instagram account is like 100,000 people.
I'm waiting for the Instagram collaboration with him and the guy from Over the Fire Cooking, because they have like kind of the same beard and they both use whiskey and fire and oh man, it's gonna be awesome. But yeah, he's great.
He'll be here, and he's taking the van down.
Outstanding.
But he bought a van just to go on an Instagram tour and get shots from all over the country.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Like I actually started following him a very long time ago when he didn't have a lot of followers, just because what you're saying, it were just cool pictures of him holding a Glencairn by a waterfall. And then it just evolved. And now, I mean, and what's great is, it makes me feel like I should probably start taking more pictures and tagging more things so that I just get whiskey, because that guy gets some stuff that is amazing. But a cool follow, for sure.
I'm trying to pull it up now, Whiskey with a View. So he'll be here Friday, and then we've got our boys Brendan and Brian Callan and Brendan Schaub coming on. And I know that they're jonesing for a little Tommy's Bacon. I told them about the meat shop that is B&B Butchers. So we're going to be coming to see you Thursday. Yeah. Of course, when this airs, it'll be the past. But yeah. So we'll come see you this weekend, get some steaks in us.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to talk some cool fight stuff with those guys. And obviously Callan's been in the comedy world for a very long time. That's going to be a very enjoyable experience.
I'm super stoked. I went back and re-listened to the episode that Brendan was on last time. And I already was thinking what I was going to say about Brian when I see him face to face, and I was thinking about it. Then I listened to the episode, and I already said it in that episode to Brendan. No, I'm going to say it to Brian's face because there's no way he listened to it. But it's funny how consistent, like, what you're going to say when you meet the person you've been wanting to, a celebrity or whatever. Like, I know what I'm going to say to Arnold the first time I see him. You know what I mean? So I'm so excited to sit down with them, and of course. Sometimes they bash on Houston compared to San Antonio.
Sure.
And so I can't wait to show them what good food is in Houston, because I think sometimes these comedians come into town and they're eating at horrible garbage places and they don't realize that the food scene here.
Well, and that's the thing I think about Houston, and Darryl, I assume you've lived here for a while, is like that's one of the things about Houston that I think is like the best hidden gem is that if you know Houston, it's such a food city.
Sure.
I mean, from the crazy, like if you want to go the ethnic diversity route, the fact that like you have these giant pockets because it's such a big city. So you go here and you can get like,
fantastic Vietnamese.
You're crazy, Vietnamese and Southern Asian, and you can go here and you can do like the Caribbean thing. And I mean, it's just phenomenal. I mean, the fact that like you just drive down the street and like you'll pass a normal, what we would think of as like a standard Houston restaurant, and then bam, right next to it is, like a Peruvian Mexican hybrid, like Pollo Bravo or something.
Yeah, there's a fantastic place in Clear Lake called Rivera's that's a Mexican Salvadorian restaurant. They used to work at Papacitos back in the day. And they started their own it's a hole-in-the-wall restaurant. Some of the best mariscata soup you've ever had. Just a beautiful
that's awesome.
Seafood dish, and you wouldn't know about it. until you've been in the area for a while. So,
Yeah, man. But that's the great thing about Houston and its size is that there's so many amazing hidden pockets of just cool stuff. I mean, and that's for bars, restaurants. I mean, the whole nine. I mean, it's awesome. Oh, is it time?
Oh, it's time. It's time. So, just a little reconfirmation that WhistlePig is fantastic. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I know we just recently did one for a all-female group of HBS members.
Oh, outstanding.
It's going to be called, it's a triple entendre. It's going to be called Houston Babe Society.
Hey, yo.
Play on the babe pig thing.
Yeah.
Play on the fact that they have ovaries. And then, of course, HBS. So,
Indeed.
this is a single cask, Gregarious Grump. This is our rums that'll be available here in the next 6 weeks.
Okay.
Gotta wait for the distributor to pick them up. And it'll be around town at a few places. I know a few stores have already basically claimed their barrel.
Okay.
We bought 6 barrels, all unfiltered, all cask strength. So this will be the only place in Texas you can try truly cask strength Foursquare.
Yeah, no,
Even their own releases are not cask strength.
I'm waiting for the camera to stop so I can hit you up about how we can talk for a barrel for B&B for sure.
So I think they may already be spoken for.
No, you know.
All right, so we got
And maybe somebody who listens to this or watches this can like spot me like a 6-pack. We'll talk.
Well, Specs has a Class B, and they are wanting, I think, a Guyana. First Sip and Laporte's going to get a whole barrel of Guyana as well. I will tell you for sure that Flax in League City as well as Liquor Hut are going to take the Belize. I think one of the Foursquares are going to go to Mike. I haven't finished talking to Mike. I talked to him about it a year ago, and he said he was in. Haven't revisited the conversation, so I may want to refresh his memory. But
Well, there's new stores. I mean, he definitely want to do it.
I would think so. So they're going to be these individual single casks of. I didn't pour myself any, and this is actually 64%, 128 proof, cask strength Barbados rum. Did you want to try some, Brandon? I know you're off camera, but
So what made you want to do the rum? Is it the new FB 2020 movement? Is that what getting you out of bourbon now?
Yeah, God, I guess we should have low key slipped that into the label design because that would have been a nice little reference. The whole FB 2020 movement. So we've been talking about addressing this openly together.
Yeah.
I let me be clear. For those who don't know, we had a whole section of really strong HBS members that have been around for a while. All of a sudden, fall a little quiet, and the hashtag was circulating FB 2020. And for those who don't know what the F stands for, I'll give you one guess. The B stands for bourbon. F Bourbon 2020. And officially what we were told is that this movement was in support of all of these other fantastic spirits besides bourbon, because bourbon gets a bit crazy right now with the hype, with the excitement. Sometimes you release a barrel and it literally we sold an entire barrel of Four Roses. It sold out in under 30 seconds.
Sure.
And it set off a bunch of fury from those who had it in their cart, and while they were adding their information, someone else snagged it, and when the inventory updated, they lost it from their cart. So the whole backstory was that it felt a little aimed at HBS. I know, I'm getting there. More so, yeah, no, I think that's pretty much it.
You don't need to beat around the bush. Bourbon breeds terrible people. Not all.
I think fervor breeds terrible. Any hobby where people are going nuts. Remember the craze of Beanie Babies?
Right, but bourbon is the one. That's the spirit, right?
That's the current one.
That's
right
the
now.
current one in the
It's
spirit
current,
world.
but I think that it's funny because I actually have just had several conversations with no idea that this was actually happening.
Yeah, well, you're not on Facebook, remember?
No,
Which, by the way, that just supports FB, Facebook.
Yeah, well, at
2020.
Facebook 2020 for sure. But so, and this is something that and the conversation that I had that I think is really applicable to this is for bourbon is what's happened over the last we'll call it 8 years or so, beneficial or hurtful, right? Like let's use Blanton's because that's the easy one to go after.
Lord, sure.
Right, but it's an easy target to talk about allocation and blah blah blah. So my question is does that at the end of the day does what happened to Blanton's, because you can argue it wasn't their fault, it was their fault, I don't know. I'm not in the marketing department at Blanton's.
Sure.
But I feel like long term it hurts them because of exactly what's happening is at some point people are going to, whether it's a different bourbon or a different spirit or they switch to rye or they go back to single malt, at some point you get tired of hunting a ghost. Like it's fun for a little while. It's like Pokemon Go. Like for like 6 months, everyone wanted to walk around at night and then eventually you're like, this is dumb. Like it's like eventually like, okay, well, it's been fun to hunt for Blantons, but I can get Knob Creek single barrel or whatever
but
regularly.
You could just simply move on to other things, and a lot of people have. I think the reason why it felt more aimed is one individual I'm thinking of left the group, and then the rest stopped posting in the group. If the whole idea of FB 2020 was to promote the idea of other spirits and other fun hobbies with
wouldn't you be posting Aquavit
with less fervor,
Yeah.
you could. And here's the thing: a lot of them just simply moved over to another group that has initials and posted there.
FBWR.
But correct. But still were, when the specs drop happened, someone in that FB movement, I love Chris Omar, I'll say his name. I love the guy. Jumped on that, went to the drop, picked up stuff, posted to kind of poke the bear a little bit.
Like,
I mean,
that kind of stuff's fun, and I agree with what you're saying. Is like it's nice to get that win once in a while, right? Like it's fun to like in any hobby, right? It's fun to get that win. It's fun to get something nice and awesome. And like part of collecting is like I have it, you don't. And like
for some,
right,
but that goes back to what you said.
But some people can't.
It breeds bad people.
Absolutely, and so on both sides. But like one of the things that this are part of this movement.
Sure.
Like it's part of a bunch of people who make fun of themselves and take things in stride. Whereas like
That's fair.
One of the problems is the people that can't. And
Sure.
so all the people that got butthurt over every single release, everybody who gets so upset over every little tiny thing.
Absolutely.
It's like it just gets old.
It's the exact same feeling as politics. My feed right now is so full of people who have opinions on coronavirus, and I just got a text saying that poutine is permanently closed.
I think I'm just gonna go to like Thailand and lick every lady boy there and just try to get it and just be done with it, man.
So,
at least you would just get
vacation
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
well, and I mean at least you could drink a shit ton of Cavalon. I mean,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
because in Houston that's a difficult thing because it's all at Chris Wang's bars. Like, so while we're talking about like
greatest person in Houston.
oh, he's
an inevitably
incredibly
amazing
funny.
human being,
Incredibly funny, incredibly intelligent.
very thoughtful.
I
actually
actually
a
on the
genuinely
show?
good
No,
person.
I don't know him that well.
Yeah,
I just know that he's
I mean,
hilarious.
he's amazing.
Insane
But like,
person.
but also like, I mean, it was like he bought all the Vino Barrique that he could get like in Houston. Like he single-handedly corralled it as a tongue-in-cheek joke. Like, I mean, it wasn't even for him that he was like, oh, I'm gonna make so much money. He's like, no, I'm gonna sell them all for $20 a pour.
Sure,
like
yeah.
he
Sure.
just did it to like, so.
But that's what Anvil's movement was, right? The whole breaking even on the bottles.
Yeah.
I fully get it, and I will tell you that the initial doubt as to what that was aimed at is long gone. As soon as I did that AMA and HBS, it hasn't come up since. Like, there was all these, the Facebook world. There's all these private chats as to what this is and what that is. There was surprisingly no backlash from that whole AMA, at least publicly, and
I think as people get in there, they level out, man. Like everybody, they start with thin skin. Most people get in there thin skin at first, and
well, then you realize, I'm sure, that you're in a group of people that have the same hobby as you.
Right.
I mean, isn't that the point? Is like you join this group,
Yeah.
and they're competitors in a lot of ways when you're trying to
Which
get those
is
picks,
fine,
right?
but-
Why can't I find a Blanton's? Why can't I find this allocated bottle? I mean, the fact that Barrel Proof E.H. Taylor is now trading more in terms of value than Weller 12 is.
right? But
I don't think anyone saw coming. I didn't see it coming. Blew my mind.
Well, here's one of my
$400
questions
for
that
Barrel Proof
I ask most people, is that, like, for example, like, so let's say you get one of those bottles. You get one of those bottles. Do you open it? Do you sell it? Do you trade it? Like,
It depends.
What do you do? Like,
Depends.
I'm asking this honestly.
Some people, and this is a total valid motive for bottle trading and flipping online. Some people can't afford $500 Dusties, $1,000 Dusties. And a lot of people...
Yeah, but if they're Dusties, maybe you don't have to spend that much. Maybe you just hunted it down and you found it for...
that's been picked over. There's a few people I've mentioned on this show that literally they've kept the job of outdoor salesman just a bottle hunt, and Houston's been picked dry. You're not going to find something crazy anymore.
No, but when you go on road trips... But my question is, for me, whiskey doesn't become whiskey till you crack that seal and share it with someone.
I mean, agree, and I understand your point, but there are some people spend $60, they can sell that bottle for $400
Sure.
or trade it for Pappy that they couldn't get anyways because all the restaurants have.
But then are they going to drink the Pappy? They're going to sell the Pappy.
That's a good point.
Like
Some
I guess
do.
my whole thing is it's about the consumption. Like, for example, like I have a bottle that like I did not think I would come into possession of. Like I have a CYPB Weller, right? Which it's
when that
awesome.
dropped, it was 300
Right,
secondary.
and then at one point, even my wife, like, she found it on the secondary market. She's like, "Well, this $500. Why don't you sell it?" And I'm like, "Because it doesn't matter. I've never had it, so if I sell it, all I get to say is, well, I had a bottle of CYPB for a while, and now I have $500 that I spend on my kid, or I bought a Bob stroller, or
I'm
whatever."
not spending $500
Like,
on my kid.
well, I only have one. You have to be more measured. You know, like I have one 5-month-old.
I also don't blame people for that kind of revenue return. I mean, we don't
No,
we don't get
absolutely
mad at folks
not.
for flipping houses. We don't get mad
Sure.
at folks for, flipping a car and making money on it. I can't blame people for trying
Well, like
to
if you
sell
found a
whiskey.
Michter's 20 or 25 in some absurd reality at like retail,
Sure.
that's like, I mean, $1,000 retail, you sell for $4,000.
Absolutely. I remember a
Like,
couple years ago,
you
Matthew
know.
Walt, great guy, great HBS member, been around a long time. Couldn't be a more generous and reasonable guy.
Yeah.
He's not a big flipper.
But sometimes when you
Someone-
find one, I get it.
Someone posted a photo of Michter's 25 at Total Wine for $600. Turned it into $4,000.
Yeah.
And I can't blame the
Why?
guy.
Yeah, no way.
No, absolutely.
But like,
Do you know how many Bob strollers I could buy with $3,500 in profit?
yes, sir.
You say strollers?
Yeah.
Like kids
Well,
strollers?
so the last time I did
I
the
think
show,
my kids walk. They were born with legs. What are you doing?
the last time I did the show, the baby wasn't born yet, and so now we're a 5-month-old, and so
You have one or two?
just one.
I've got a
And,
double stroller. If you're looking.
No. We're trying to back off that right now. But what's crazy is that okay, I can't. My wife's gonna kill me for whatever when she sees this. But so the one thing I will say that's awesome is like I have all these amazing giant, colorful whiskey books that I've been given over the years, like Four Roses,
Sure.
whatever. So my
Everyone
wife
has
will
like
come home.
40 of those Four Roses coffee table books.
And so
Yeah.
like, but my wife like will come home and I'm literally sitting at the dining room table with this giant book and my child and I'm like, this is David C. Stewart. Excuse me, Sir David Stewart. Say Balvenie.
Right,
I'm
right.
teaching
Reading
my
to
child
your
like,
kid.
non-chill filtered. You know, it's awesome. But the thing about the flipping part is like it's one thing if it's a booze that's been around for a while or a whiskey that you've had a couple times, like Weller 107 or Foolproof, you know, something that you've had. I get it. You're like, I've had this whiskey. If I can make $1,000 off it, $800 off it, it's fine.
Yeah.
But it's that whiskey
you could
that
buy a
like,
gun
you've
with
been
that.
waiting to get it, and now you got it, and instead of opening it and trying it,
You
for
sold
that
it?
one time. You sell it. Like I get again. I don't care what anyone does with their booze. I've said this multiple times on multiple podcasts. My job is not to tell anyone what to do with their whiskey, just to get them to buy whiskey. But I for me, like every time I get something cool, like I just want to open it and drink it. Like
Sure.
it's.
Well, speaking of opening and drinking it, what'd you think of the Foursquare?
Excellent, man. That's
Yeah?
phenomenal. Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
that's
funny.
really, really good.
We talked about this in the parking lot. When you approach Richard Seal of Foursquare and you discuss doing single barrels, he'll tell you that single barrels aren't really a thing in the rum world. There's an
Right.
art to blending. A lot of it is secondary wine maturation. No finishes. He doesn't like that. He feels like it's a bit gimmicky.
Which I can agree with.
So this is your only chance that I know of currently in the state of Texas to try truly cask strength, truly single barrel Foursquare before it's been blended, before it's been the art and the expertise has been put behind it. I mean, it's like a deconstruction of what
Yeah.
you expect from a beautiful brand. This is a Bourbon Drinkers rum. I'm a huge fan. It still tastes very much like it, and you can still see quite a bit of char floating in the bottom of that.
There's like a savory quality that comes with it.
And I always show people this one first. The uncut, unfiltered, unadulterated Foursquare.
Sure.
Can't go wrong. The next one, however, is the Belize. Now, Barbados, 128 proof. This is 130 proof. To me, this is the most of the bourbon, the easy crossover. You know, like
Okay.
if you're trying to get someone who's a bourbon drinker into Scotch, I always direct them to Glenfiddich 14 Bourbon Barrel Reserve. It's
100%.
shout out to Daniel's story. It's a great crossover into the
And Dave
Scotch world.
Paradise.
And Dave Paradise. It's a great crossover to the bourbon world. Now these, if you notice, these were also bottled for our event. They've got a little logo on it. Whiskey Pete's on the front, sitting in a little chair there. And in the back, it tells the story of where the label came from and how we got together with a bunch of HBS members and we tasted samples and found what we loved best.
Sure.
Had food. We cooked steaks that day. I mean, this is what this hobby is about, is sitting with people, visiting with people, and tasting good spirits. So that is the inspiration and the vision behind the purpose of this. Unfortunately, customs and a little thing called COVID-19 kept things tied up, and they were late getting here for the Whiskey Social. So these all arrived after the event. They will be featured at next year's event, but by the time people taste these for the first time at next year's event, they'll all be gone at retail here locally. So the Belize is the next one. You ready?
Oh, man. I was born on a green light.
Very, very happy. And if you have any negative thoughts, feel free to share them. We're not going to cut them out.
We'll do.
Well, no, but what I would say, like the thing that I thought about the Foursquare is immediately what you were saying is it lends itself to food.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, there's no question. There's like a salinity. There's like a fatty tongue feel. Like, I mean, this would. Speaking of the bacon, I don't know that I would go with the Tommy's, but like the actual like standard bacon, just that like rich smoked
What's the one with
pepper.
the melted funky cheese on it? Right? Isn't
That's
there
the
some-
Tommy's.
Yeah, Tommy's. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got the Roquefort blue cheese and then the black truffle infused honey, which absolutely phenomenal when it comes to spirits because that sort of earthy quality really lends itself. But I love the purity of the standard applewood with just black pepper and like rich fat. And then obviously we have the lamb bacon, and you know we'll go over all the bacons. I assure you with the thick boys. But this 100% like makes me like want like crazy salty food, like, and not even just the traditional stuff that I'm talking about. Like this could be like you could do like a lobster scampi with it, like something buttery
Lots of
and
savory
brown.
stuff. Yeah.
And, yeah.
Our friend Greg Carlson, who you met in the parking lot,
Meet a lot of people in the parking lot.
been in the show, been on the show. We talked about that buttery quality to a lot of these. Ugh.
That's like with the Foursquare. I think if you're one of the more experienced like rum and you've had a lot of the Foursquare stuff, I don't think it's going to be what you expect right away. Like,
yeah,
I think some of the some of the absurd named ones I think have a much different taste. So like the Nobility area just came out. Like if you're expecting that with that Foursquare, that's not. I don't think you're going to get that. I think you're going to get a more
great rum, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
No, it's good juice.
I think you're going to get something like you said, a little more introductory to the world of rum. I think you're going to get. I don't know. It's like not on the same level. I don't mean it like that. I just don't think it's.
It's a different side of Foursquare.
It
that you're
is.
not used to.
It is. It's something completely different. And so that's kind of what I appreciate about it is like if someone doesn't like one of the Empery or anything like that, turn them on to that. It might change their mind.
Man, that Belize has got some tobacco quality to that I don't remember picking up on.
There's a leather to it, I feel like.
Yeah, so we all love the Belize. Unfortunately, we only got one barrel of it. We tried through a few of them, and we were in love with this one. It felt like the most even-keeled Bourbon Drinkers rum.
Sure.
130 proof was a bit higher than we were expecting. You know, when you're in the moment, you taste samples blind. You don't know proof, you don't know yield, you don't know nothing. It's just like, taste this. Is it good? Is it good? And I absolutely adored this.
Tastes like banana nut bread.
Banana nut bread. I'm not getting any.
I get banana.
I get some nut and some bread. The banana part was a little on the nose, but what I dig about this is like that just raw viscosity. Like it almost feels like it gets
my whole
bigger.
Tongue just shrunk a little bit.
Yeah.
It's really
It's
good.
very robust. These should run about the same as Nobilary in terms of pricing. The 12-year-old Foursquare and the 14-year-old Belize should be all under 110.
Okay.
Should be. And then the Guyana, I think, is going to be 120.
Sure.
So it's a 16-year-old rum, still cask strength, still single barrel, bit older. The Guyana may run a little bit more, but I have to double check that.
Yeah, but that's, I don't know, man. If as a rum drink, and I've been very vocal over the years of how much value there is in rum to bourbon drinkers.
Sure.
Like there's so many
Well, that
flavor
goes back to the whole FB thing.
qualities. Like yeah, but there's so many flavor qualities that go along with them. Like I feel like I've talked about this maybe with you at some point.
And on Smoking and Toasting too, you brought some cool rums. Yeah.
Absolutely, like
B&B Butchers on Washington Avenue has plenty of great rums.
Indeed, and really lots of great whiskeys.
And really great bacon.
The bacon is the bacon. I mean, you can't. But the thing is, like, I feel like, and this kind of, I guess, unbeknownst to me, kind of contributes into that same idea with it. And I hate to keep saying it because, like, I will never say F bourbon, because regardless of what bourbons you can or can't get, there are plenty you can get that are fantastic
and reasonably priced.
Absolutely. But like, there's so much value. Like, you can get, like you're talking about, a 16-year-old rum, a 16-year-old bourbon, if you could find it, would cost you so much more.
Crazy money, yeah. And there's a lot of independent bottlers of rum that the 16-year-old Guyana is quite up there.
Sure,
for some brands. I won't mention any brands.
But even $120 to me is different than the $300 I'd spend on the bourbon,
yeah.
to like find that one, like, you know, wheelhouse small bourbon that I found.
Well, then
you
you
just
have
go get it.
Peyton Manning's new bourbon.
And that's the thing, is I just go to the store and buy it. Like,
Peyton Manning's new bourbon, great example. So Peyton Manning. Let's back up a second. So Dickel makes great whiskey. If you're into that Flintstone vitamin note.
I do not subscribe to things that go through the Lincoln County process.
Oh, really?
No. Man.
Have you ever had any Cask Strength Jack Daniels?
Yes, and it's good. Yes.
Jeremiah.
However, I am just fundamentally opposed to the broad charcoal filtration.
Oh, broad charcoal, like just charcoal filter everything.
That's the Lincoln County process.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying there aren't exceptions to the rule.
I don't know.
Or you could do the Jack Daniel's single barrel rye.
It's fantastic.
100-something proof. It's a gorgeous whiskey.
Oh, so you like it?
Yes. No, I'm just saying, but like as a whole, I try to not like hunt down like Dickel 12. It's cool. It's your grandpa's whiskey. But like if I'm looking and hunting for like deep, dark notes, like I want something that gives me that. So
sure.
That's where I always lean.
You don't like the
towards
filtration
proof,
process because it removes too much for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, you like a raw product.
Greasy, fatty.
Sure.
You know, like me.
Yeah. Lost my train of thought of thinking of you greasy and fatty.
Yeah, thanks, Darryl. I appreciate that,
man.
God, I really did lose my train of thought. You really got me with a visual. You got me with a visual.
We're talking about the Dickel.
Yeah, so
Dickel charcoal.
Yeah, so Dickel makes great 13-year-old whiskey, bottled in bond, 100 proof.
Yeah,
it's $30. $30.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning sourced some 13-year-old Dickel, and it's $200. And
but what did he do to it?
Yeah, but he's funny though.
Well, I know there was some master blender involved, and Marianne Eve, she got involved, and that was a whole thing. But my objection, and I think I can universally speak for anyone who has an issue with this, is nothing to do with the ability of a blender.
Sure.
It has to do with fundamentals. Nicole Austin is a fantastic, the face of Dickel right now. Nicole Austin, fantastic woman, fantastic pioneer in this industry. 13-year-old whiskey for $30.
Yeah.
Okay. We know that the price behind Peyton's whiskey is simply the fact that his name's on it. Yeah. So that's my issue with I will fully support the FB movement when you've got 13-year-old dime a dozen whiskey, because everyone sources from Dickel, for $200. That is offensive, and it should be taken. If someone is offended by that, they're rightly and reasonably justified behind it. I think that there's better bang for the buck out there for a lot of spirits. Armagnac, beautiful, beautiful spirit, doing fantastic things in the world of spirits, and still, I mean, there's some that have jumped on that price train a little bit. Lincatata's growing quite a bit, but there are some fantastic, reasonably priced.
Linney Aquavit has been ocean aging their whiskey way longer than Jefferson's.
I don't know who Jefferson's is. I'm just kidding.
I don't know who they are either, but it's just a bottle that says Jefferson's.
They pioneered the whole, or they branded themselves as the ocean age thing. And I know that the first couple batches actually made it
right, but
to several ports. What they do now is they put it at a boat at a port. It doesn't go anywhere.
No, it's ridiculous.
And they sit for, instead of 6 months, 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Ocean's batch 12.
Whereas Linney Aquavit
And there's no
actually spends 6
George
months
Clooney
on
in
a
this
boat
one.
because guess what? Like they're Norwegian and they like to sail and they like
Sure.
their boats
Racist,
to go
but okay.
places. Like,
Yeah, I like their boats to go places.
well, you know,
I mean, I have lots of boats, and I don't want them to go anywhere.
well, you know. But what can you do? But I'm just saying there are people that have been barrel aging spirits on boats way before someone that thought about to market it. Right?
Sure,
And so to me, it's like you're either what is it they say like don't talk about it, be about it. Like so if you're gonna say like Jefferson, like we do this, like no you don't. Whereas if you look at other spirits, like they're I don't know. Like the more I talk through this, I'm not saying that I'm down with the FB 2020.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, you're
Yes, you are.
starting to convert
turned him.
yourself.
Well,
We
but I
turned-
also
He's
will
been turning
say
aside.
that my
It's okay.
home
Keeps coming back
bar
to it.
has
Keeps
a
coming back
lot
to it.
of other spirits. I have
Yeah.
aquavits, grappas, piscos.
Grappa is
Armin-
fantastic.
The rocket
Cristofino,
fuel of
the
Italy. Amazing.
Dude, yeah. I was doing
Dude, grappa is like my jam right now.
I was doing a bat like from with my group. I was doing a Italy wine trip this year, and we were gonna hit.
Is
a
that still
Grappa
going?
No, we had to cancel it.
Oh no.
I haven't announced it yet, but I mean, well, everybody that's going knows it's canceled. And they're refunded, but like we were gonna hit a Grappa factory, one of the small ones.
Yeah.
'cause, like,
That's
we used to live
amazing.
over there, and like freaking Grappa's
Well, dude,
great.
Grappa
It's
is,
great.
is one of the first moonshines.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Like literally,
It's grape trash moonshine.
Before the winemakers figured out they could make money off the must,
Yeah.
the guys who picked the grapes and made the fucking mash
Right.
would be like, all right, cool, we're
Mark
just going
that.
to take this
Yeah,
and,
that's right.
make our grappa. And
That's
then
right.
they're like, wait, we can sell grappa?
Yep. Sure can.
And Grappa is the slowest moving category of all the spirits.
Yeah?
And it is largely, I wouldn't be surprised if it just went away at some point. Like,
Oh,
so
man. I almost hope so that people like you and I can buy weird grappas without having to pay premium prices.
speaking of which, coming back to your question earlier,
Sure.
the reason why we jumped on rum first
Yes.
versus whiskey is the category is saturated with those overpriced bourbons.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to avoid bourbon, even though it's called whiskey neat. I'm going to avoid bourbon unless something truly bizarre pops its head out. If we find some weird 15-year-old Heaven Hill juice or some crazy,
Sure.
then we'll jump on that. But in the meantime, we're talking to a couple of sherry bodegas. I'd love to buy.
Which,
some
by the way,
barrels.
the people don't know, Heaven Hill's like DSP 1. So.
Well, the original one, right? They're not-
Right. But like,
Now it's 3.
if you find Heaven Hill juice that's from the original DSP 1, of course you.
Well, if
whatever,
you find
but
15-year-old Heaven Hill juice, then yeah,
Now.
right?
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. I guess it's been over 20 years. Sorry.
Which,
to
by the
interrupt.
way, I just want to take a moment and the guy that was at Specs that had the Henry McKenna that had no idea what he had and suggested that I go talk to the guy about some weird Ridgemont and I just asked him where he got the Henry McKenna and he's like, oh, right here, but it was the last one, and he had no clue what he had in his barrel. I hope he enjoyed that bottle that was in his cart. Just that's a weird thing for me. It's been bothering me for days. And
FB 2020.
Yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I say like with Grappa, like I think with Grappa, unlike a lot of other non-FB 2020 spirits, is there's a lot of trash Grappa. There's
Sure.
there's like you have a higher,
But there's a
much
lot
higher
of trash bourbon.
There is, but
I mean,
you have a much higher probability of finding a Grappa that's just god awful
Yeah.
than you do
Paint thinner.
It is. I mean, most Grappa is. You have to go to those very small, not even boutique, like Farmer Joe, and to find a good Grappa.
If you were to make a suggestion to someone who wanted to try Grappa, what would you recommend on the shelf?
Poli makes some good
Poli's
Grappa.
great.
Poli, Poli.
Yeah.
So if you,
the Poli Moscato and the
Yeah.
Poli Chardonnay are good.
yeah, they make some great Grappa.
Going back to Chris
Marolo.
Trevino, the Liquor Hound on YouTube, he brought some old Poli. They're not made. It's not this particular batch is not made anymore, but he brought it up when we were bottling these rums, and I was blown away by Grappa.
Yeah.
And I've had Grappa. I don't think I've ever bought a bottle of it, and it's something that just was truly. You know when you first you smoke cigars.
Mm-hmm.
You smoke cigars?
Absolutely.
Do you remember your first cigar that you realized this is actually not just something? Because when you're 19 and you're
Indubitably.
smoking a cigar, you think
Absolutely.
you just look cool.
Oh, yeah.
You remember your first cigar that you were like, "Oh, this is fantastic."
Yes.
Rocky Patel 1990 vintage.
Okay.
That was the first cigar that I was like, "Oh, I like cigars."
Yeah.
Rocky Patel vintage 1990 and 1992, the classic maroon label with the gold trim. was when I first realized I actually enjoy smoking cigars.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's the same thing with that whiskey that grabs you, that first scotch or that first bourbon that's like, this is my jam. Jay Friedman, everybody knows Jay Friedman, Bourbon Hounds in Houston.
Absolutely.
Great Diamond, Jonathan's Jewelers.
Yeah, he and I are supposed to be splitting a bottle or a barrel of Woodford Double Oak.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dant was his first love. That old charcoal filtered Dant. I don't know how you feel
kidding.
about charcoal filtered anything, but
Yeah.
even when you move past that first love, you still go back and like, oh,
Sure.
I remember how great this was. Grappa.
Yeah.
Well, I can honestly tell you from a whiskey perspective, like the first love that I ever found, and as weird as it sounds, is Bushmills.
Oh, I love Bushmills.
Like straight
I wish they were higher
white
proof.
label Bushmills.
That's the one that's sherry. They've got a little sherry in there. They've got a sherry finished or sherry matured, I'm not sure. But the white label Bushmills.
But the oldest registered distillery on earth, 1608.
Okay.
Not the oldest distillery.
Sure.
The oldest one that actually has a
Licensed.
piece of paper.
Yeah. They're first licensed.
Which, by the way, like for B&B people, there is no Bushmills at B&B. Ben hates it, and it's the
Oh,
only.
really?
There's only two liquors that we do not allow at
What are the
B&B.
two?
One is him, and it's Bushmills because of our rivalry, because he loves Jameson, and I also like to tell him it's cool. I like Irish whiskey for people whose balls have dropped. And then the other one is Louis Trey, because we just don't subscribe to it.
That's FC 2020.
Well,
Like you refuse to subscribe to this overpriced, overexcited.
I'm not paying
overbranded-
money for an empty bottle, because at the end of the day, what you're buying when you buy Louis Trey is that bottle that you want to sit on your shelf.
Remember when you
No,
called
I
that
don't.
Flack and I defeated
I'm gonna get
you?
a little no.
No, I mean
I'll save it for
I'm
another.
sorry. I've Richard
bring it up.
Hennessy. Like, I mean, I have great, beautiful, drastically aged cognacs that aren't Louis Trey that are phenomenal.
Yeah,
you
so
know?
I've got some Richard Hennessy, and like it's the same. I mean, it's beautiful.
Daryl started in cognac.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
He's huge.
did not know that.
That's
That's
my,
awesome.
That's my jam. Like, I think with Louis, I think if you were to take it out of the bottle and let people blind it, they would talk so great about it.
Yeah, no, the juice is good. I'm just not willing
But
to
it's the
get
build up
on
and
board
let
with the
down.
rest
Yeah,
of
but
it.
you're paying. But I mean, that's so many high priced things. I mean, Richard Hennessy, which I think is superior to Louis Trey, but I think it's also overpriced.
Remember
Sure.
when Wade didn't know who you were?
Yeah.
And you were offering a trade of Richard Hennessy, which is like a $5,000 bottle,
Right.
versus Louis Trey,
Right.
And he had no idea.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey man, he's not looking for a free sample. He's actually trading down price
Yeah,
wise.
1,000%.
Yeah,
Right.
and like I had a
Absolutely.
Louis Trey, I just like didn't want to open it.
You were
'cause I'm
such
lazy.
a go-getter early on. Like you were like so like
Yeah.
super hitting it
Yeah,
hard.
that was
and
pre.
But honestly, if you're looking for aged cognac, for me, like I would rather drink the Pierre Ferrand Ancestral
Yeah,
That's
than
70
I
blend.
would. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like what 70 to
Shout out
70,
to
75
Docs.
to
50
whatever.
70 or something. I think.
Yeah. But honestly, from a standpoint of like the actual product that comes out of the bottle that you pour, I would take the Ancestral over either of them.
And I think it hits $700 a bottle.
Something like
The old
that.
Yeah.
price.
No, it's
They
great.
changed it.
Well, because then
They
they've
changed the
changed
packaging.
it. It's not called Ancestral anymore. You know all that, but whatever. And by the way, you did say shout out to Docs. I hope you're doing
Shout
well.
out to Docs. Love that guy.
Absolutely.
He's been doing these Monday night trivia things, and this week was Golden Girls. I freaking tuned in. I was all about that. Sophia Blanche. I mean, we were, and he wore a wig and a blouse, like he was dressed like one of the Golden Girls, in front of a wall of plantation rum, and Doug was not about it.
Oh man.
You know his animosity
Oh,
towards
yeah.
plantation, but I loved it. Loved every bit of it.
Unbelievable.
So what'd you think? You tasted this yet? This is
this
Guyana?
is
All right, so this is the guy.
Isn't that crazy?
yeah. I think that's my
This is gonna be the winner, and
my winner. Yeah,
I love all of them,
Mm-hmm.
and they were all great, but they're all so different from each other. And this is a freaking bomb.
Yeah,
of
it's great.
Nose, mouthfeel.
who'd you say was getting this one?
So there's 3 different barrels of Guyana, and they're all in different proofs, and they're kind of like in a nice stepping of proof. So one's 48%, one's 52%, one's 54%. So you get just that difference and bump up, and they're all cask strength. None of them's watered down, but in the barrel, one of them ended up at just over 48%, just over 52%, just over 54%, and
And what was the second one we tasted? The Belize.
the Belize, the real heavy.
I'm still on
Oh,
that.
you think so?
Yeah.
That one's
Yeah.
good.
That's the monster. Like, I feel like that's the truest and purest, most raw
You
expression.
mentioned earlier, you're a bit of a proof hound.
I am.
So I like to, I ascribe to the belief that I think eventually you drink enough barrel proof bottles that one day someone's going to put in front of you something that's 48% or 50%, and you'll appreciate and realize, oh, I forgot how great these lower proofs can be.
No, this is beautiful. Like, I'm in no way taking away from this. Like, honestly, if you're asking me which one that I would try and sell at the restaurant, this would be the one.
But your personal favorite is the Belize. Interesting.
I think this one's got a good mix of the, like, I think those who like really like funk and those who like the more
Yeah,
tame.
this is
I think
complex, man. This is everything. You
yeah.
can get this if you like sweet. You can get this if you like bitter,
Super sweet.
savory.
Yeah.
Like,
You know what we didn't do this round was Jamaica, and I want to do it next. A nice funk
Yeah,
bomb.
you'll get that's a very focused market right there.
Focused
Yeah?
market
Yep.
for sure. But those, I mean, you like peated whiskey.
I do.
You like those funky Jamaican rums?
I do.
The ones that
But-
taste like a dead rat pit.
Yeah,
But you also have to understand that-
No, I just don't like them.
Oh, man.
I've tried a bunch, and it's
Most
not,
of the things that I like, I
it's
think,
just
are
not
things
for
that
me.
other people don't, just because I like things that have that weird, distinct dirtiness to them. Like, even in wine, like at the restaurant, like people are like, oh, well, pick me out a bottle of your favorite. I'm like, you don't want that. Like, because I'm going to get you a bottle of 100% Petit Verdot
Sure.
that tastes like sewer rat and barn and a little bit of grape
Bong
juice.
water and
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
So, like cognac, I love that barn. Like I love that.
For
that,
sure.
I love that musk. You know?
Yes.
But like, I just can't get on the pure funk on the rum.
There's something that happens.
I know. I'm a pussy.
No, it's not even that though. But I think they're
Definitely
different. I think with cognac, I think part of that dirt and that leather, it's like this beautiful sort of. I don't want to use the word regal, but like when you get like a really old, dirty cognac, it's like you feel like you're in like somebody's like saddle shop. Whereas like when you get like the dirty old rum, it's like you actually feel like you're in like this dude's like weed shack. Like you're like, I'm renting
Smells
like
like a dreadlock.
snorkels and buying a quarter bag and like getting a fifth of weird rum in a plastic bottle so that when I go on the banana boat, I don't have to come back for 2 hours. Like
There's something.
and it's a great thing. And it's not a bad. I'm not. You know.
There's something that happens mentally or at least happened to me when you start tasting stuff and you start picking out, like you said, a leather boot and a this and that and when you realize that that's not actually in the juice, right? So if you're tasting something, and we've talked about this on the show, muck pits, right? There's dead animals, there's dead bugs that kind of fester and ferment. It's distilled out of, so you know that you're not at risk of getting sick or throwing up.
Yeah,
so
it's going to be heated to a temperature.
when I do taste something that is so bizarre, but I know that it's not actually in it, that I'm in a different headspace mentally. If I go home and I taste, my wife is a fantastic cook, but my mom is the opposite. My mom is the worst cook. If I tasted something, if my mom's like, here's my beef stew, and it tastes like fish, I'm out. I can't do it. Something's wrong.
Yeah.
But when it comes to distilled spirits, and you can actually pull apart really gross, bizarre flavors like peat, I know.
Wait,
knowing
did
it's,
you just say peat is gross and
some
bizarre?
people feel that way.
Okay.
But just knowing that there's not actual dirt in it or boots in it, I can appreciate it for what it is without feeling grossed out.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people still have to make that mental shift.
I don't know. I would appreciate it if there were boots and ace bandages.
You would, but you on top of being the main guy. When I think of B&B, I think of Jeremiah. You also help curate that beverage selection at that killer bar. You guys have only, as far as I know, one of the only places in Houston that have not one, two 50-year-old. You know what I was going to say.
Yeah, no. I actually, but I topped the
70
list
grand later?
of the. Well, no. But what's crazy about that is I actually got to top the list of the Century Club. So William Grant does their own thing. Like I had like 300 more years than the nearest person in the world, which is awesome.
You've gotten a safe 2 50-year-olds and a 40-year-old Glenfiddich and Balvenie together.
Hey, the safe has a key though, so I can open it if you want to buy it.
It's also got a glass front, so if you want access,
I'm not there very often.
If you want access to $100,000 of whiskey, just break the glass.
But one of the things when you talk about like the funk part is like that's one of the things that actually intrigued me with getting into other spirits like aquavits and sojus and like just weird random spirits, like is there comes a moment where it's like, all right, like, you know, I have my own palate and this is my whiskey palate, but like I really want to check out this other stuff. And that's the thing, like for me, like my home bar, like like I have a great beautiful, you know, whiskey, and like, you know, you can try anything from basic American to like something that's like a 26-year-old dead distillery in Scotland to like, you know, 42-year-old Ladybird, whatever. But there's also like different aquavits, different grappas. Like I feel like spirits in general, the idea is that, and this might be, I don't want to say contributing to the EPI 2020 part,
He's
but
back
like,
at it. He's back to it
but
every
the
time.
idea is,
You know what? I changed my mind too. I'm in support of it.
well, but the idea for me is like, I'm a spirit junkie. Like as much as I'm like a whiskey expert for my concept and my restaurant and my hospitality group, like at the end of the day, like I want to know everything about weird distilling. Like, you know, like the fact that like you can like look at different gins or different Genevers, aquavits, like tequilas versus sotols versus mezcals. I mean, it's just insane, like how much spirit is out there. And so for me, at the end of the day, like I want to taste the raw of all of it. Like I want unfiltered grappa. I want unfiltered mezcal. Like just dirty, angry spirits that really give you a sense of where they come from. And that's why, to go back to that damn WhistlePig, is like just that raw, like, I know they didn't make this whiskey, but they aged this whiskey, and the combination of this weird rye and this age and this proof is like, and you know, rum, like with all these barrels, it's just, but the purest example of whatever I can get is what I want. And, you know, like I'm very lucky. Like I have, for example, a bottle of like straight out of the still eau de vie from Maison Ferrand that Docs gave me.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
160 something.
From that Vulcan still?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
and it's like when people come to my house, they're like, can I try that? I'm like, yeah, but like, I don't know that you're going to, when you try it, I don't think you're going to get what you think you're going to get. And then they're like, this doesn't taste like cognac. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. It tastes like angry grape juice. Like,
Sure. Yeah, I'm all about it. I think, and I just had this idea. So Darryl is working on an app, and which is fun. I don't know if we've talked about it, but I had an idea for an app 5 years ago, and then I realized how much money it costs to put together.
It's expensive.
Yeah, apps are not a joke.
And you're also not cutting corners. I mean, you're going full on out, building catalogs and libraries and inventory, and it's almost like Facebook.
Okay.
I don't know how much you hate it. So you can avoid all the politics. You can avoid all the crap you don't want to see. And we actually... I don't know if I gave you the name, but I gave you the idea for the short name.
Yeah.
We met for drinks in Pasadena, and the name is fantastic. Beautiful name for an app. Cork'd. It encompasses everything from wine to spirits. Everything's got a cork, right? And I think it's genius. And when's its next couple of months?
June, middle of June, mid to late June. So we're in final testing starting in the next couple days.
It looks a lot like your Instagram feed, you know, where you post a photo, but it also gives you full breakdown of user ratings, details about where it comes from. If it is a wine, you give region, you give, almost too much information.
So here comes the question for me as a restaurant guy. It's like, how does a restaurant get involved with that? Like, where we say this is what we carry.
That was my idea. So that's what I was building up to. I think it would. I don't know if this has already been
list
encompassed.
my wine list with all the information.
So yeah,
that
like
you would have from Cork'd.
So yeah, that's actually been like that won't be available in this release. But what we were talking about for phase 3 is like you would be able to load your inventory, and then you'd be able to see all the reviews and ratings of anybody that's posted that same bottle.
If you could somehow, because I know the Texas Whiskey Association developed a POS system for distilleries, and they literally delivered the iPad. You know, the iPad register?
Yeah, like DoorDash.
If you set up a kit for bars and restaurants to be part of your network that had some basic software that tied to your database of their whiskey list, then you would become the default. I mean, no one's gotten that far.
That's the thought. So like you'd get an iPad, you'd deliver it to your table, and then if whatever your bottle is rated in the app, they could see it. They could see everybody who's rated it, what they've said,
the reviews.
You know, yeah.
And then add your prices to it, and then as you work through something and it's off your menu,
sure. But like in the way that COVID, whatever, like what I would say is, is there like a barcode where they scan it on their phone and it gets the same thing?
The barcode tech is a little more complicated.
Okay.
So like U.S. producers may have certain things embedded in that barcode.
Gotcha.
Foreign producers may only put certain information, so that's why we're not releasing that
proprietary
here.
information for this and that.
So we went down that road, and it wasn't consistent.
Gotcha.
So it's got a whole inventory system. You know, you can log all
update your own.
Put all your stuff.
I'm, by all means, keep me in the loop for sure.
Yeah,
I'll be a guinea pig at B&B if you need me to.
Yeah, no, we'll do.
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic idea. There's been a lot of ideas around it. The Distiller app was probably the first major, well-known, but there's so many issues with it. And personally, I'd like to be able to just simply reference something of what I have, how many bottles I have. And so as you're adding it to your inventory, and then it becomes part of your habit to remove something like,
Sure.
I'm done. I drank this bottle of port. I thought I had 3 bottles in it. I could just check my phone. I love what you're doing, and I look forward to the final result.
The two things that I would say separates this is there's a store pick tracking system. So basically, you can search by that store or by like a group, so like Bourbon Hounds, right? You'd be able to click their name, and it'll give you everything that they've done that's been rated in the app.
Have you talked to Lincoln Road out of Missouri? Jamie Ferris, probably one of the most well-known. People will take caravans, 3-4 cars, will drive up to Missouri. He's got a list of no less than 100 picks. Everything. I mean, everything anyone's done times 10, right? HBS has done 1 Knob Creek pick this year. They've got 7 Knob Creek picks, 7 WhistlePig picks, 5 Lincoln Tata barrels. I mean, they just have this overwhelming offering of just fantastic stuff. It would be great to just catalog and know what's, you know.
And you can do that for everybody. And then I guess the other thing would be like there's it's called Recommend Me, but like you click, like if you make a post and I click on your Recommend Me,
okay,
it'll pull up similar things to what you just posted.
Oh,
so like,
that's nice.
So, it'll go off price range, rating,
Absolutely.
all the notes you selected.
The app's name is Cork'd. CORK''D.
For sure.
It'll be Android and iPhone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just realized we are out of time. It's been 3 beautiful segments.
It goes quick.
I had a good time. It does. It does. Thank you so much. I'm going to give you that elbow.
Yeah, dude.
There you go.
Bang,
Very
bang.
nice.
Yeah.
Good seeing you, man. And I will see you this week.
Yeah. Can't wait to talk some MMA and some comedy, man. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry, but I feel like we've all been converted to this FB 2020 movement. So
I knew it.
Let's get a picture together, and we'll see you guys later. Cheers.
Cheers.
Balcones' first ever year-round bourbon was an inspiration. It all had to work together. A blend of carefully selected ingredients, Texas-sized pot stills, and creative people determined to find the absolute best way to usher a new whiskey along. When you discover how it pairs with a meaningful moment, suddenly the feeling of drinking great whiskey becomes a whole lot more.